What if I went to GoDaddy.com and bought the domain name HireMeNetflix.com, then redesigned Netflix interface, but instead of putting Netflix content, I put my own design concepts in there? Let's talk about it. I've been using Netflix since 2005. Back then, I would go online, choose the movie I wanted to see, and eagerly waited for the DVD to arrive at my physical mailbox. Yes, I said physical mailbox. DVD? What's that, Gary? DVD stands for Digital Versatile Disc or Digital Video Disc. That's a lot of words, but pretty much it's dead technology because of streaming. Although Netflix didn't come out with streaming until 2007. So pretty much, as you can see, I'm a huge Netflix fan and everything they've done and everything they're doing. Then this idea came to my head: how great would it be to work for a company that I'm so passionate about? Now, Netflix is a very, very big company and hundreds of thousands of other designers are applying there all the time. So I really needed to think, how can I stand out? That was actually me thinking. This is how I think. And I go and stuff like that. I thought about this idea very hard, and on a lovely Saturday afternoon, while it was Shabbat, I thought of this great idea. What if I bought the domain name HireMeNetflix.com and put in my own content in there in hopes to show some of my work and also stand out from some of the other designers? I waited that day until sundown and Shabbat was over, and then went to GoDaddy.com to check if that domain name was available. And luckily for me, the domain name was available. Yes! So I coughed up the $12.17 and bought the domain name. Coughed up? I don't know why people say that, but it felt right. For the next few days, I worked really hard and experimented with various layouts, but unfortunately, I was not so happy with the way some of my layouts were coming out. The next day, I was hanging out with my buddy Mac, and I was showing him the Netflix interface on Apple TV and kind of explaining him the situation and what I was thinking, and he made a brilliant suggestion and said, hey, why don't you just use the Netflix interface on Apple TV and put in your own content? I really love that idea. I started thinking about how I would design that website from a responsive perspective. I started thinking about what content I would include. I started thinking about what copy I would use. I started thinking about what design challenges I might run into. This is just normally how I work. I think about these things way before I ever start actually designing. So a lot of designing actually happens in my head. I was thinking about these thoughts. At the same time, I was battling my own thoughts. Thoughts like, no, Gary, what are you doing? This is a stupid idea. No one is going to care about this. You're just copying another design. This is embarrassing. You're wasting your time. Do something else. You're going to fail. And that's when I decided I'm going to punch all those bad thoughts in the face. I know, it's a little violent, but that's really what happened. Plus, I wanted to add a little action to the story. I then jumped into Figma, currently my favorite design tools, and started experimenting with various layouts, which I'll show you in a few seconds. Not literally, but in a little bit. After experimenting with a couple different layouts for mobile, desktop, and tablet, I was ready to jump into Webflow and start the web development process. Then blah 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 blah. What I meant to say was, rather than talking about it, why don't I just jump onto my computer and show you how I use some of these tools to accomplish this whole thing? How does that sound? Oh, good. Let's go. So I'm just gonna very quickly show you my design here in Figma. So let's see here. So on the left side, this is the desktop version, which is this version right here. And on the right side, this is the mobile version. And very quickly, I have some copy here, very similar. It's not the exact font that Netflix uses, but I use something similar. And then I have some information showing that it's like a 5-star rating, showing the date, because this is the date 2020. It's the current year. The rating that I'm able to do kind of serious work, TVMA, very serious. I don't know if that's how that would sound like. Okay, anyways, and then I have 16 seasons, meaning that I'm fairly experienced and I've been doing design for a very long time. So I've literally been designing for over 16 years, but anyway, so that's what that's supposed to mean, 16 seasons, and then just some simple copy saying that I turn problems into solutions using research, visual, design, prototyping, user testing, and saying definitely yes that I made this website to get hired at Netflix. And then I'm showing various content here, kind of different companies I worked for, Evi, J-Day, Panjo, things like that, and then also different videos I recorded and different other designs I've done. And also here in the hero section I have an image that I did, some key art of myself in my room, kind of drowning in my room, not drowning, like water and stuff splashing in my room with my computers and stuff like that. I just thought it was an interesting picture. And I'm kind of going to animate this picture. It's going to move slowly. There's going to be another picture coming in, which I'll show you that in a second when we jump into the development part. Then these are going to be some arrows, which the users will be able to go back and forth on those arrows. And also, let me zoom out a little bit. That might be too zoomed out, but it's okay. But just to show you, so this is how the site would react and how things would move when it's in different width points. And that Netflix, and that at the bottom, that CTA, the Hire Me Netflix, that CTA, when the user taps on that, it's always going to be fixed at the bottom right. And it's pretty much a CTA. When that gets tapped on, it'll take the user to, it'll pretty much take the user to my Netflix, to my LinkedIn profile. And then this is the mobile version right here. Let me zoom in on that for you. So this is the mobile version, and it kind of has the same elements, but just a little bit smaller. Instead of five items at a time, you'll have 3 items per section. Also on the rollovers, when people roll over on these, it will animate in and animate out, which I'll show you how that works as well. On the sides here, I have some spacing in between. The spacing is not always going to be consistent depending on the width of the monitor, but this is kind of how the standard layout, because this is kind of how Netflix does it as well, with the layout between each section here. And I left enough space to when the user rolls over on the item, there's still enough space where the item won't overlap on other items. Let me jump into the live website and I'll show you how I handled that. So this is the live website. You can see here, hiremenetflix.com with the SSL certificate with the little lock. Let's see. So you can see this image, as I mentioned, the top image, the hero image is animating, and there, it could be different images, but this is just kind of something for like some visual interest. And I have the copy that I was talking about and all these different sections that I was talking about. Let me show you. So when I roll over the items, it has kind of that similar to Netflix, especially on Apple TV. They have this where when you choose an item, it kind of gets a little bit larger like that and animates back in. And then when you go to different items, when you go to the next part, see how it kind of blends in and comes in to the next section, similar to how Netflix does it. And let me just refresh this page. So I'm going to refresh it and just show you. So I see things kind of don't just appear right away. I have some stuff kind of lazy loading in, and you can see the bottom also fades in just to make it look a little more interesting. I also added this like bar at the top, this red bar. So depending on how far you are on the page, it'll show you kind of where you are. It's not really necessary. This is not a long page, but it's such a simple page. And a design element like that is not really interfering or competing with anything. And then this is a CTA, so when the user clicks on that, it'll take them directly to my LinkedIn. Let me make this window a little bit smaller so you can see how potentially some of the tablet. So this is how the tablet version would look like. Obviously, there's no rollover on tablet or mobile, but when they tap on the items, they'll get a little bit bigger like that as well. And the mobile version, you can see now becomes 3 items instead of 5 at a time, and they still can scroll through them. And really, this is for when any of these things are tapped. Let's say one of these things is tapped, it actually takes the user directly to my own website, and they can look at some of the items on my actual website, and it opens up. I have it opening up in a tab window. So all these things, all these different sections, actually takes the user directly to my personal website. That's the goal, to get the user to see my actual website and pretty much to show some of my work. From brainstorming this idea to designing the idea to developing the idea, I had so much fun with it. I literally always have a great time creating things that mean something. I hope this video was interesting for you to watch. Thank you for taking the time and checking this out. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.